and welcome to the Question on Grace Corporate Practice podcast. My name is Theodora Olumekor, and I'm an associate at the firm and a member of the Corporate Practice Group. Today, I'll be talking about the CAMA 2020 and what I would tag the new normal. The corporate practice environment in Nigeria is generally governed by the Companies and Allied Matters Act, commonly known as CAMA. Last year, the CAMA 2020 was passed into law and became effective on August 7, 2020, after 30 years. Today, I'll be taking you through a few changes that are currently applicable in practice since the enactment of this act. Firstly, I would like to inform you that the manual procedure of submitting incorporation documents to the CAC no longer exists. The process of registration, from reservation of preferred name to the collection of certificate of incorporation, is now a strictly online process which is done through the company registration portal. Also, in line with the provisions of the CAMA 2020, which now recognizes and accepts electronic signatures, the Corporate Affairs Commission has incorporated on its company registration portal the ability for directors, shareholders, company secretaries, and even witnesses to the memorandum and articles of association to upload their e-signatures on the portal during registration. Also, upon the approval of the registration of any entity, an e-certificate is now available for download on the portal of the accredited agent or person that commenced the registration process. The e-status report has now replaced the certified true copy of the incorporation documents previously described as CAC 1.1 for companies, CAC IT 1 for incorporated trustees, and the BM1 form for business names. Another novel and amazing introduction to what is currently applicable is the introduction of the tax identification numbers of companies, which is now inscribed on the bottom left corner of the e-certificate. However, sadly, this has not been extended to business names yet. So, whoever it is that commenced the registration process previously used to get an email from the Joint Tax Board, and the email will provide the TIN number of that particular business name. However, if you do not receive such an email, you can easily visit the nearest micro and small taxpayers office of the FRS closest to the registered address of the business to obtain your TIN number. Please note that a copy of the registration certificate will be required to process the TIN number. In accordance with the provisions of the CAMA 2020 now, all the issued shares of the company must be fully allotted. Unlike what was previously obtainable where just 25% of the shares has to be allotted, now the concept of authorized share capital no longer exists, and all the shares reflected in the memorandum of association must now be fully allotted. Every company that has not fully allotted its shares must do so within 6 months from the commencement of the act. The 6 month period has now elapsed, but we'll still advise that companies proceed to amend their memos and fully allot all the shares that they have. Also, the CAMA 2020 has now stated that it's no longer compulsory to maintain a company's seal for the execution of official documents. Now, it is sufficient if the following persons execute a document, which will be required for a company, where a company has to execute a document. So we have a director and the secretary signing together, 2 directors signing together, or a director signing in the presence of a witness who can attest to that director's signature. Under the CAMA 2020, the CAMA 2020 has introduced 2 new entities known as the Limited Partnership and the Limited Liability Partnership structures. So persons who operate a business with partnership interests can now incorporate their businesses under these structures. The limited liability partnership structure does not have a share capital element but has similar features with a registered company such as the perpetual succession and a separate legal personality. Although the Commission has not fully incorporated this on their CRP portal, but they promise to do so within the year. Also, previously, there were issues where a business name would want to convert to a limited liability company. Previously, they would have had to cease the business before applying for such a change. But now, the Commission now allows for you to just convert upon an application by the proprietor of that business to the Registrar General, seeking its consent for conversion. The annual returns of that business name must be filed up to date, and evidence of payment must be attached to the application to the Registrar General for conversion. Also, as we know, this is the novel thing about the CAMA 2020 that now allows for one shareholder and one director compared to what was previously obtainable. However, this is only applicable to private companies and what we call small companies. So a small company at incorporation by a CAC defines that as a company with a share capital of 1 million or less. So if you have a share capital of 1 million or less, you can actually incorporate a company with one shareholder and one director. Also, in line with, as we are aware, there's a pandemic, and in order to curb the spread of that pandemic, a lot of things are going virtual. The Commission and the Nigerian government, the draftsmen, put this into consideration and have now permitted a company to have virtual board meetings as well as virtual annual general meetings. However, this is only applicable to private companies, as public companies are deemed too large to have that. However, also, this has to be reflected in the Articles of Association to be able to allow for such companies to hold virtual meetings. Again, the amendment of the articles can be done by way of special resolution of the shareholders. Lastly, a small company is no longer expected to file its annual returns with the Commission. The CAMA 2020 has defined a small company as one with a turnover of not more than 120 million and a net asset of not more than 60 million. The Act does not make this compulsory, as I stated earlier. However, we advise that you do so. You still file your annual returns up to date in accordance with the format set out by the company regulations to ensure that the company maintains an active status on the Commission's public directory. A public search of companies and business name on the Commission's website reveals whether a company or a business has filed its returns up to date. I hope you found this insightful. If you have any questions or require further clarifications, please visit our website at www.petstoneandgrace.com, or you can send us an email at info@petstoneandgrace.com. Thank you for listening and stay safe.